matter. Are we good? Well, thank you very much for being here. I'm gonna look over to my technicians. Am I online? Am I live? We're doing it live. Very good. Thank you for joining today's Development Review Board meeting. Today is Thursday, August 21st, 2025. And get my cue cards here. I want to thank everybody in the audience who's here today. Thank you for those who are watching remotely or streaming from afar for tuning in and for tuning in today. And I will start these steps. I will go through the motions here. The purpose of the DRB, Development Review Board, is to maintain quality development by reviewing all the design aspects in proposed development and the relationship of design components to surrounding environment and community. The board also reviews all preliminary plats for subdivisions to ensure conformance to policies and ordinance requirements. Today's agenda will consist of a roll call, public comment of non-agendized items, administrative report, minutes approval of the prior meeting, and our action items. A roll call vote will be taken after each motion. The liaison will call each board member's name to indicate his or her desired vote for that item. After the vote has been counted, the liaison may read aloud the final vote. Citizens wishing to speak during public comment or to speak specifically on agenda items may fill out blue request to speak cards. Citizens interested in submitting written comments may fill out the yellow written comment card. So yellow for written, and blue if you wish to speak. I do have one request to speak on item 5, which I will make a mental note of. I remind the audience today that the board's review relates to design matters and does not include considerations of existing zoning, district designations, zoning entitlements, or the allowed uses within the zoning district. The board's motion may be to approve with modified stipulations or STIPs, to deny the request, or to continue the case. And as always, the City Council, it's their purview to appeal a decision and bring it to the City Council. So with that, thank you very much for your interest and time in attending today or streaming from afar. And now I will kindly ask Ms. Clark to call roll.
Councilman Graham?
Present.
Vice Chair Brand? Commissioner Scarborough?
Here.
Board Member Pieser?
Here.
Board Member Fakih?
Yes.
Board Member Mason? Board Member Robinson? 4 present. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for calling roll, Ms. Clark. I will move on now from the roll call to public comment on non-agendized items. I'm getting a motion from staff. There are none. So from that, I will move on to the third item, which would be administrative report from Mr. Brad Carr, AICP.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Graham, and welcome to you and other members of the board. Thank you for your attendance today. Very much appreciated. Just a couple items today, our administrative report. With regards to item number 3 on the consent agenda today, I do believe we have one board member that needs to recuse themselves for that item. Because of that item we would not have a quorum to vote on that item. So we are going to go ahead and automatically continue that item to the next agenda, which is September 11th, 2025. So no need to vote or do any action on that item by the board today. That item will just be automatically continued to the next available hearing. In addition, I just want to note on item number 5 today, you do have a public speaker that wants to speak on that, but I did receive some correspondence from Vice Chair Brand on that item. He said that he can't be in attendance today, but he is in favor of the item as presented today. That concludes my administrative report for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carr, for your administrative report. That was a good one. That was a real good one. It does kind of highlight the fact, though, that we're missing 3 of our colleagues. Maybe we should send the sergeant at arms out for him or something. Something. No, you don't have to respond to that.
I don't know that we have one, but yeah.
We got to get one then, okay, and get that going. Very good. Okay, so that's the administrative report, and now I will continue to the next item, which is minutes approval of the prior meeting. I'm sure my colleagues have had a chance to digest and closely review and scrutinize the meeting minutes from the last meeting, and I will ask one of them to move to accept or modify them.
Move to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Pieser, seconded by Commissioner Scarborough, and I will call roll.
Councilman Graham,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarborough,
Yes.
Board Member Pieser,
Yes.
Board Member Fakih. Yes. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. So with that, we will now move on to the, get my stuff together, action items. And we are moving on to the consent agenda. Mr. Carr just mentioned that one of these items, item 3, we will be disqualified from having a quorum. And so I guess we should move, technically we should move that from, or do we make a motion now to continue that, or should I pull it and then?
I don't know that any motion is necessary on that. I think just because of the lack of quorum, it will automatically be moved to the next agenda. So
We don't even need to memorialize that with a motion?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Okay, I'm getting nods of agreement from legal. Well, then today's consent agenda will just consist of 30DR, item 4, 30DR 2024 7 Brew Coffee. And I will ask my colleagues if they'd like to withdraw it from consent agenda or move to accept it, or even ask questions from staff.
I'd move to approve consent agenda item 30DR 2024 per staff recommended stipulations and finding that the development applications meet the applicable Development Review Board criteria.
Do I have thank you, Board Member Pieser. Do I have a second from one of my colleagues?
I'll second.
Okay. Board Member Pieser motions to approve on consent, and Board Member Fakih moves to second. Please call roll.
Councilman Graham,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarborough,
Yes.
Board Member Pieser,
Yes.
Board Member Fakih. Yes. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. And with that, we reach the best part of the meeting, the regular agenda. It's my favorite part. Item number 5, 12 PP 1995, number 2, Desert Summit, Lot 34, building envelope. I see we have Mr. Barnes approaching the lectern to lecture us. So I'm just kidding, not lecturing us. Present. Thank you, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good afternoon, Councilman Graham, Commissioner Scarborough, members of the Development Review Board. I am Jeff Barnes, presenting 12 PP 1995, number 2. So this is a request to modify the previously approved building envelope for Lot 34 of the Desert Summit subdivision, which was originally established through 12 PP 1995. Just as a quick reminder of where we've been to this point, this has been in front of the board before. It was continued from the May 15th meeting with direction provided from the board. It was continued from the July 10th meeting with some additional direction provided from the board, and so that brings us back here today. With those previous continuances, I'm going to move quickly through some of these details, but I recognize that with our rotating council and planning commission spot, at least a couple of you have not seen this the last times, although you've seen the report. I'll highlight some things along the way as I go, but try not to spend too much time re-establishing things that you may already know. So quickly here, the site is located in the yellow highlight within the Desert Summit subdivision. This is Lot 34, the property we're talking about. And maybe just better context, the Desert Summit subdivision is outlined in the black dashed line here, and Lot 34 is up in the northwestern portion of that development. There are some larger lots in that vicinity of the development versus the lots that are further down along the south end. So this request seeks to modify the location of the conceptual building envelope as originally established to move from the lower portion of the lot to now a more middle portion of the lot. The changes that have been made over the course of time with this, staff finds that the updated proposal is much more consistent with the prior stipulations of the zoning and preliminary plat cases, the ESL purpose, open space guidelines, the general plan, and the things that we review in that context, also more in alignment with the Development Review Board criteria than the original submittal had been. There was community input received along the way. As you mentioned, there is one speaker card submitted for today. But the updated positioning has been adjusted a little bit more. Some additional exhibits were provided by the applicant in direct response to the feedback received from the last DRB meeting. Quickly moving through the history without spending too much time on this. This was set up with a 1993 approval of zoning intending to establish the Desert Summit subdivision. There was a stipulation modification in 1995, and then also in 1995, the preliminary plat case was approved. Each of those cases had exhibits in them and stipulations that directed on the use of building envelopes to manage where development would occur on each of the lots, and those got refined as they moved forward through those processes. Quickly just showing those to you again. This is the original zoning case exhibit. Lot 34 is indicated with the little yellow highlight up near the top there. At this stage of the process, the lot lines really weren't defined very well, but the building envelope locations were represented. The number 2 case to that revised stipulations related to building envelopes, lot 34, still shown up at the top there in the yellow highlighted, again, without sort of representing property boundaries in here, but conceptual envelope locations. You'll also notice in each of these that there's several hilltops that occur sort of in this area between envelopes that was striving to push development away from. That becomes more refined in the preliminary plat case exhibit. This is rotated to the side where north is now over to the right-hand side of that, but lot 34 now has boundaries and is defined in there. You can also see the topography a little better on that exhibit and that original envelope location. This is just the second sheet of that. In our review of this application and the proposed adjustments, we took into account that there is a hillside landform that occurs within the middle of these lots in this area, again intending to capture the steep slopes, the hilltops that are there, and those envelopes as they've been developed over time still generally staying towards the bottom end of those hills, if you will, but really not being entirely within that hillside landform, but splitting it in some instances, encroaching in different areas. And so this updated proposal is striving to basically split the landform and locate in the middle of the lot, which I'll have exhibits for you in a couple slides here. In that same context, this just is representing for you sort of the topography out there, the contours of that hillside, of those areas, and demonstrating, at least without direct information but visual context for you, that the currently proposed positioning for lot 34, sitting at about the middle of the lot, falls in the same group of contours that the lots on either side are developed at. And that was one of the points raised at the last DRB meeting, and the applicant team has put together some more detail about that I'll let them tell you about in their presentation, but just highlighting that with this exhibit for you on the screen. So this shows the original building envelope location in the darkened line up near the front of the lot. It also gives you a sense in this section detail of how steep that lot becomes as it climbs up from the street end to the south end of that lot. The original submittal had come in requesting a building envelope located at the higher point of the lot at the south end. That was met with concerns from staff's review. It was met with concerns from the Development Review Board. And they had continued that at that point in time, seeking an alternative location. And so that's what came back the last time around, striving for something in the middle of the lot that tried to balance the request there. At that point in time, staff had felt that the DRB criteria were being achieved by that the proposed location was in alignment with the intent of the stipulations and the history for this. The board had asked for some additional details to help support that, and that's what the applicant team has come back with. And so they've refined that envelope a little bit, changing some of the boundaries to respect some of the contour lines out there and sort of follow that into what the topography is doing more than the conceptual lines that were represented the first time around. Not covering through these, but just reminding you that we have DRB criteria that we had looked at this against. We had done analysis that you'll find in the staff report. But moving through this a little bit quickly, like I said, along the way, there was some conversation about stormwater and ponding at the front of the lot. Between the first DRB meeting and the second DR meeting, the stormwater staff had gone out to the site. I had gone out to the site. We walked it with the applicant team and looked at the details out there in response to some of the DRB's questions. The first time around, our stormwater staff put together a summary analysis that was provided back in the report the prior time through, just highlighting that did occur and that they looked at the available information for that. As I mentioned, there were some updates, additional exhibits put together from the applicant team to help further respond to the Development Review Board's questions and direction from the last meeting that I'll let them tell you about, but I'll finish out my presentation with the recommendation for you that this, based on our analysis, we're recommending approval of the building envelope modification per the recommended stipulations. If you had any immediate questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. I know I moved through that kind of quickly, but otherwise the applicant team's here and ready to present for you as well.
Commissioner Scarborough
Thank you.
has questions for staff.
Mr. Barnes, can you just concisely tell me what the finished floor elevation average will be used for this new requested lot placement versus where it would have been before? Give me the finished floor elevation of what was approved prior and what it'll be now.
Councilman Graham, Commissioner Scarborough, the original building envelopes were conceptual and did not include a finished floor, a specific finished floor, and so the current one also does not have that. I know the applicant team had done some comparison in their exhibits, and maybe they may be able to elaborate on that.
Great, I'll wait for the applicant. I'm assuming there's guidelines on where the finished floor could be set based on the location and the current elevation or adjacent street elevation, so I'm just curious what the differential in height is between those two elevations. So I'll wait for the applicant. Thank you.
Any more questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, following council rules, we go from staff presentation to questions for staff, and now applicant presentation. I will invite the applicant or his representative to the podium, and you can do it in 5 minutes. You need 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes?
5 to 7.
Okay, well, 7 minutes.
And this is our, do I use the arrows here on the keyboard? Okay. Councilman Graham, members of the commission, thank you so much. It's good to be here today. Third time's a charm, hopefully, because as you heard from staff, this is the third time that the applicant, the Angeloni family, who we're very proud to represent, has had to come before you today. And just a little bit of more context for you, this process began for them in January of 2024 when they first had their pre-app meeting. So this is nearly a 2-year saga just for the request to just modify the building envelope, which, as you heard in staff's presentation, was a conceptual idea prepared in 1995, which is 30 years ago. But I just want to walk you quickly through the timeline. As you can see, in May, July, and here we are today. Back in May, they had a proposed building envelope at 2720 to the top of the summit, and then there we had to continue the case. And then in July, we had a follow-up hearing after, as you saw, staff had stormwater come out on June 4th to analyze the property, but yet again, the case was continued, and the applicant was asked to provide factual evidence that the proposed elevation is compatible to other homes in the community, and we're going to show that to you today. The building envelope relocation is very common in this community, and I want to point out, as I have pointed out in previous hearings, that every single one of these properties you see here before you today, 12 nearby neighbors have built outside the building envelope without DRB approval. If there's any speakers here today, they're going to be challenging this application. I do ask that I reserve 2 minutes for rebuttal just to address any of the concerns, because I think what is admirable and commendable by the Angeloni family is that they've come to the city of Scottsdale to do the process in the right way, and they've had to spend considerable time and resources, but they have been willing to do it. And also, I just want to take the time to give our thanks to Commissioner Brand, who has spent considerable amount of time working with us on this, and as you heard today from staff, he has now lent his support. As you saw earlier, if you look here on the left-hand graph, that's where the building envelope originally was. But this is the key point. Why is the Angeloni family asking to move the building envelope? And the reason why is the ponding and the drainage that was built by the neighbors that made it literally impossible to build at the proposed building envelope. If they could have, they would have. So then they came back with a very reasonable request, as you can see, at a part of the site that would be good for building a home. And this is where we are today, because over the last 3 months, we've had to figure out where to go. So now the proposed building envelope, as you see here in the exhibit on the right, is where we call it the bow tie section, really the tightest section of the property. But this is a considerable concession by the Angeloni family to make sure that they're doing right by the city of Scottsdale and by the Desert Summit HOA. Also, the question of proposed elevation has come up in the previous meetings, and it's now come up here in this meeting today. And as you can see, and as you heard earlier from staff, we are aligned with the contours that are already existing with the other existing houses. If you look directly to the south, that house actually was built directly on the property line. If you look directly to the east and to the north and to the west, we are right smack dab in the middle in the contours and the proposed elevation. So between 2680 to 2705 includes all of the homes you see marked here today, and also the Angeloni proposed house. We also have photographs to show you what they look like. This is the Fisher residence, which is the directly adjoining property to the north. This is the Clark residence, directly adjoining to the south, which once again is directly on the property line. This is the Robert residence. Just ask you to take a minute there to see how that looks. And this is another one we have up here. This is just, of course, a conceptual image here, but we wanted to show you how the Angeloni house would be built and how it would be looking. The Clark residence is directly to the right, directly on the property line, and the Fisher residence, you can see it from the street, is right there on the left. So the Angeloni proposed home location is compatible with the neighboring homes, and the building envelope relocation is in character with the neighboring relocated envelopes. And once again, with finished floor elevation, as you can see with Clark, 2686, with Fisher, 2673, with Robert, 2686, and Angeloni comes in at a nice 2680. The roof line that we estimate, and this is just an estimation, is at 2717, which is in line with Clark, which is immediately next door. But these numbers will be finalized during design once the envelope is approved. Of course, it's impossible to predict, but 2717 is our best guesstimate. But as you can see with the finished floor elevations, it's directly in line with the other properties. We're also appreciative for staff's recommended approval. Approval will be stipulated to this building envelope, which once again is a major concession by the applicant. And so I just want to say thank you to staff, thank you to Mr. Brand, and thank you to this board for your time and consideration.
Very good presentation. And for the applicant, is that all the presentation? That sums it up? Okay, very good. And then I will now open this up to public comment on this matter, and I believe I'm going to be inviting up Mr. Mark Fisher at this time. Mr. Fisher, if you could just state your name and address, although, go right up to the lectern, and then just state your name and address, although we all know where you live now.
Sure. Mark Fisher, 27293 North 112th Place. Just to kind of, I think there's one gentleman here that might have been here at the first hearing. I think this is the third hearing, as the attorney had mentioned. The first session that originally happened, it went from Mr. Barnes basically saying that basically no, and his recommendation was no for this to move. And the discussion that the council and the person who wants to move the property up the hill and everybody had a conversation around was, hey, we'll be reasonable and we'll move the lot, somewhere within reason, but not completely lift it out of the current envelope that it is in and move it up the hill. I know originally the proposal was to put it on top of the hill, and it's come down a little bit. But my understanding was a move of the envelope. We have hired a drainage engineer that also submitted a report to the city, which is saying that there is no drainage problem. There is a referral about my house and my lot about that there was some drainage put in. If it was from a previous owner. I have no recommendation or, of what happened, how it happened. But there's been a couple of things. My understanding from the second council hearing, where there were three things that was needed to prove in order to move this forward by you guys now sitting here today. One was the roof line had to be equal to the highest roof line between my house and Mr. Clark over here, who lives at lot 35, the other person on the two neighbors on both sides. It looks like, if I do the math, I'm an accountant, that 37 feet above the roof line is not, I think, 24 feet, which is the recommendation. That's one. Two, I'm still wondering if there was an actual drainage report that was submitted that shows a hardship, because we're getting conflicting information. And then finally, I'm still trying to figure out how you can take a lot that you bought at a certain price, because obviously the real estate and lots down here are different prices, and completely lift it and move it to a very much higher place. I have several photos, I have not submitted them, in videos of wildlife walking across. There's a gaming path that goes across where it is. That was brought up in the first committee meeting. So I know some of you are newer here, but there's been a lot of things. And again, Mr. Barnes has completely flip-flopped his decision from the first one, which was recommending, hey, we'll work with you and move it slightly. We did buy the house knowing where the lot plan was, and I brought that up in my first meeting. And basically, we have a very private backyard, which we enjoy, and we just put about $1.5 million into remodeling the house. And now his house is going to be looking directly into our backyard and blocking views that we had based on where the lot will go. So I don't have anything else to say, but it's just, to me, this feels a little bit of a snow job. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Rules of procedure now. I move to council questions for staff or applicant. So I will look to my colleague if anybody has any questions. Commissioner Scarborough.
Thank you. Mr. Barnes, could you speak to the drainage report issue? And did you receive another drainage report by a neighbor that said there was no issue? Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Oh, I guess, does the applicant, does he get a chance to rebuttal before we have these questions?
Yes, that is a good point. I guess as the presiding officer, I can grant that. I have that power. And so if you want to take just a minute or two, Mr. Galvin, and respond to some of Mr. Fisher's comments.
Absolutely. Councilman Graham, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Members of the board, thank you so much. And also, I look forward to hearing that answer to that very good question from Mr. Scarborough to staff. But I just have to laugh and chuckle when I hear that this is a snow job, after seeing what the applicant, the Angeloni families, had to go through since January of 2024, and now 3 times before the DRB, including the fact that, as I pointed out in our presentation, that not one of these properties has asked for modification of the building envelope, including Mr. Fisher's. So Mr. Fisher did not ever tell you that the city of Scottsdale approved the modification of his building envelope. And as you saw in staff earlier from their presentation, that Mr. Fisher's house is not built at the building envelope. Secondly, he says he doesn't know anything about the...
Just to cut you off, I mean, I understand why, but this isn't about Mr. Fisher.
No, I know,
lot,
I know,
so,
but Mr.
yeah.
Fisher did make some allegations against the Angelonis.
Okay.
But also, just going to go to my larger point, Councilman Graham, is that also, secondly, the Angeloni family cannot build at that location, and staff said so. They talked about the ponding, they talked about the diverting, and so this is an issue not created by the applicant. Mr. Fisher does say he doesn't understand how this happened, but if the previous owner did it, that's exactly what happened. And secondly, we are compatible with the contours of the surrounding properties, and staff confirmed as much. And so I don't want to belabor the point, because that just goes down to the heart of the matter of this application today, whether or not we're compatible. And when we're between 2680 and 2717, that shows that we're just aligned with the other properties. And so I could do 5, 6, 7 points, but I just wanted to stress those two.
Very good. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Galvin. Do you have any questions for the applicant or for city staff?
City staff.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant before I guess I'll ask him to sit down?
I would like to wait for city staff answer first.
Okay. Well, you can hang out there, or maybe we'll ask you to come back up.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Commissioner Scarborough.
Mr. Barnes?
Thank you, Councilman Graham. Commissioner Scarborough, in response to your inquiry about the drainage report that was mentioned, the neighbors did provide through public comment a drainage report from an engineer that was not hired by the applicant, but was provided for context. Our stormwater staff did take a look at that, although they've indicated in their summary response and their field visit that they did observe that the topography of the site and the location of the culverts that are out there do visually represent that there would be things happening out there. They did not thoroughly review the drainage report, as would happen at the plan review stage, the final permitting stage of a process, when something would be submitted like that with the grading plans for the rest of the lot. But my understanding, and we do have Vivian Mew from our stormwater group here, if there are more technical questions than that, is that at least we were in receipt of it, but that it did not have impact to the recommendation, taking into account all of the other factors that we were considering in the Development Review Board criteria that go into this type of request.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. If I could hear from him, I would appreciate just 2 minutes. And the reason is I just want to truly understand is the predication of this request is this flood issue. And so me being new up here, I was not on the board earlier when this was presented twice over. I just want to make sure I have a good understanding that the request is, which I believe it to be valid, but I would love to hear that directly from the drainage expert in the city.
Do we have that drainage expert? Oh, okay.
We do.
Okay, ma'am, you are not on mic, and so people can't hear you. So if you're going to speak, which we welcome, just please come to the microphone. So Commissioner just for those watching from home, Commissioner Scarborough is asking about the drainage, because that predicates asking for this envelope to move up in elevation, and drainage and ponding, and stormwater expert or drainage expert is going to speak to us about that. Is that correct?
Correct, Chairman. Again, Brad Carr. Mr. Hassan Mustak is going to talk to you. He just walked in the door, so he's coming a little bit late to the discussion. So if you would, Mr. Commissioner Scarborough, just kind of reiterate your question. So for the benefit of him just walking in the door here.
Sure. Well, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here. Right now, we have a case before us that is predicated on there being a flood issue at the lower elevation of this lot area, and that I'm curious as to city's position after receiving a third-party report from a neighbor that indicates presumably no issue, how city reviewed that and compared it against the report that was done by the applicant for this project. Is there an issue or is there not an issue at the lower elevation to place a house on the northwestern portion of the lot as previously provided for an envelope?
Good afternoon. My name is Hassan Mushtaq, floodplain administrator for City of Scottsdale. Commissioner Scarborough and members of the board, thank you very much for the question. We have reviewed the project. Our staff has gone out. They have gone out and made an independent assessment of the situation. And we also reviewed the third-party drainage report as well, which kind of coincides. Similar results have been achieved. There is an issue of ponding. Existing condition, there is some level of ponding that will happen at the front of the property. However, that probably will push the building envelope, proposed building envelope to the south, I believe, a little bit. That is the current situation we have. Short of trying to solve the problem, that is the mitigation that can be had on the property at this time.
So this relocation of the building envelope is the only solution to this problem?
Beyond mitigation.
Our opinion would be, yes, that would be the least cost option. Otherwise, somebody has to spend some money to remove the ponding and get rid of it, which is the existing condition currently.
Thank you. Okay. I appreciate that. Oh.
No, no.
So, you know, it sounds like this is, at least what I'm hearing, a reasonable request to move. You know, just from my experience, I think the initial application requesting it to the top of the summit was an unreasonable request by the applicant. And I think caused a lot of hardship and delay for the applicant to get to this point in time. I see the elevation proposed, finished floor area of 2680. Thank you, Mr. Galvin, for that. That really helped me out a lot. But part of my question too was, what would that elevation been based on the 1995? And I know we have contours and that math can be done. Was that math ever done, and what would that finished floor elevation had been if it would have been in the exact same? Don't have an answer, okay. So I understand your position that you're in alignment with your neighbors. For me, whether somebody else didn't abide by this, I don't think I can use that as an argument to support it. I do think it's a reasonable request. I think that this is a valid enough reason, and I'm ultimately in support of it unless I hear something from one of my colleagues that moves my thought process, so I will defer.
Very good. I do see a request for questions from Commissioner Faki.
Just a couple of questions. I think one for the applicant. I would like to go back to the aerial where they were showing Mr. Fisher house. Do you have, I think that was a 3D, you know, like layout you have where you have the mountain and the three houses.
Is this, I apologize. Once again, Tom Galvin with Rose Law Group. Mr. Faki, is this what you're referring to?
No, I'm looking at the other one. You show an aerial that shows the three houses on the mountain. It was more like a street view.
Councilman Graham, Mr. Faki, was it this one?
No.
No.
Okay. Oh, street view. I'm sorry.
Street view, yeah.
Yeah, this is one of them. So this, no, you can't stay there if you want.
Okay.
Perfect. So Mr. Fisher is on the, obviously left page here, right? And you're, based on this position right now, my understanding, it seems like you're about 10 feet higher than existing grade. Is this true? I cannot see much from the contour, but based on your finished floor elevation right now, you're about, how higher are you from the grade, from the existing grade?
How would that be? I think it's impossible to.
Well, it's not impossible, but I'm just curious.
I'm going to ask Mr. Angeloni to give you specifics. I don't want to.
I'm trying to link your finished floor elevation to the existing topo.
We're probably within, we're a little bit taller than Mr. Fisher's. and a little,
Oh,
or a little.
sorry, sir, Mr. Angeloni, could you just, for the record, just say your name?
I'm John Angeloni, I'm the applicant.
Very good.
We're a little bit taller than Mr. Fisher's by a couple feet, and actually, our finished floor is about 6 feet below the Clark's on that, but we're taking into consideration, one of the things we were talking about with staff when they told us to go back the third time was we were talking to Brad and Jeff, and they're like, work with the mountain a little bit, just don't carve it all up. And so it took us, by laying it out that way, it took us up to approximately the 2717 mark on that. Now, we don't know that for sure because, again, we haven't designed a house yet because we don't know where we're designing that house. And when we're a little bit closer to the Clark's on that, because we were trying to be respectful to the Fishers over there to kind of keep that corridor open for them so they're in their backyard and they can look out instead of moving it over and really blocking their view. Because where we're positioned here does not block any of the Clark's view. And as you saw in the earlier thing, they're really butted up against our property line in coming out of their envelope like that. So we're trying to find the best spot from a privacy standpoint for the three of us on all of that. Now, if we move to the left a little bit on that, we're going to block Mr. Fisher's backyard.
I understood. I guess my question is a bit more technical. Outside of Mr. Fisher's backyard, I'm looking at the finished floor elevation. Obviously, you have a concept, you have an idea where you want to locate the house, right?
Yep.
And there is an existing topographic survey that was included. Unfortunately, it's
Right
too
here.
small for me to read. Compare what you show here on the 2686. How does this compare to the existing topo right now?
6 feet lower.
Because I don't think this is an ESL. Is it?
It's 6 feet lower.
Is this an ESL here?
Board Member Faki jumping in with that answer. This is in the environmentally sensitive lands overlay, so the
So this is important
maximum height.
information then, right? Because their elevation cannot exceed, is it 24 feet for maximum height for the house?
So there are certain lots in this development that are 24 feet. The rest are 30 feet. This is one of the 30 feet
Okay.
lots.
So
But
how
it is
much-
measured from the natural grade, so any amount of any amount of fill to bring the finished floor up that they may need to do as they refine this is going to come out of the overall building.
And I think this is what I'm getting to. You know, like I'm assuming the applicant is aware of this, but we should have a cut and fill number at least, right? So based on the existing condition right now, how much we're filling on the existing condition?
How much what?
Filling?
How much what?
How much fill you're adding? Like, I mean, you have I don't know if you're a civil engineer here or whoever did the topo. If you're finished lower elevation right now, 2686, right?
2680, yes.
Correct. Usually just show 2686.
That's
80.
that's not.
Bottom one.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm the bottom one.
English third language. I just read and write goofy. So I had 2680. So compare this elevation right now to existing topographic survey. What's the existing grade that your elevation will be based on? Because you're limited to 30 feet from the lowest adjusting grade right now.
Well, since we're on the slope, we're starting in the 2760 area going up. So we're actually going to be 8 feet below, or actually not have to go down that deep on that slope on that because we're starting at 2660.
So this will give you a 10 feet home.
No. Oh, on the top of that, we're going to 2717. So it's probably going to be, by the time we take into consideration the slope, now remember, going up the mountain will be 35 feet at our tallest.
Understand. What I'm trying to get to, again, and maybe staff could help here. What is obviously at ESL, at this stage, you have a cut and fill exhibit, right? Because for your approving envelope, so you probably did or request an exercise on cut and fill, right? So you can figure out your building height, because your envelope will be linked to your building height. So based on the envelope right now, what's the lowest adjusting grade you have? How much fill you're going to have?
Board Member Faki, so we don't have a cuts and fills exhibit with this level of the request. They had been focusing on the envelope drives, the engineering based on the location on the site that they're allowed to build. And so the envelope location is key to taking those next steps, and we would expect to see that level of detail come in through the grading and drainage plans, any drainage report with the permit submittal.
So when I look at this, it seems like we're filling here, we're not cutting, right? Are they cutting in the mountain or they're filling in the mountain?
Both.
So they haven't fully designed it, but the expressed intent has been to cut where they can and step that into the hillside, respecting that the maximum building height does rise with that slope of the property. But that'll be the controlling parameter with this.
So they're going to be cutting into, I mean, again, I'm not trying to be difficult. I honestly, the envelope is completely different discussion for me. I know what you're doing it, and I can relate. You have a property, you're trying to maximize the view, you're trying to get into it. I think the drainage issue is resolvable. I mean, I will leave it up to staff, but this is not the main issue. I'm okay with you moving the envelope, okay? However, at the same time, this has been here 3 times so far. And I would think by this time you guys have enough information. I would think you did. I mean, you looked into it. Otherwise, we'll not be here 3 times. So since you be here on the envelope discussion, all what I'm trying to get to is, how does your house, because you set up a finished floor elevation today, how does it relate to existing topography survey? I mean, I just what I would like to do, and this is go back to the neighbors. If I'm sitting there, again, I'm fine with the envelope, but I would like to see where your house sit in the
So
existing topography.
Maybe this will answer that. If you go to if you look at the bottom of mine, we're at 2680 to 2705 is going to be the topography that we have. The Clark house was at 2680 to 2700. The Fisher house was at 2670 to 2680. These are all coming right out of the city's numbers on stuff. So we're going to start at 2680 into 2705 from a topography standpoint.
So you're saying the existing topo right now is 2705?
2680 to 2705 in that building envelope.
Okay, so your lowest elevation in the envelope right now is 2680?
Yes.
Is this what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, and you're putting your finished floor elevation on the lowest elevation on your envelope?
Well, yes, these are our best estimates on that without getting out there with the engineers to go through it all. Working just with the maps that we had with the city, the civil engineer stuff, and all of that. So this is, I mean, what Vice Chair Brand asked for last time was exactly this, and this is what he said, we're almost there, he'd like to see this. We went out and got this information for him, had the conversation with him, and that's why I guess he gave his approval, but this is where we're at with that.
Okay, and again, I'm okay with the envelope. My challenge is because it's an ESL and you have 30 feet and you come in, you decide to do 24 feet and you go from whatever you put your house on an adjacent grade and you can add elevation to it. And this is what my thought by reading, the transcript to it, that at this stage, at least you have an envelope and you have a location of the house that we're going to approve today with the finished floor elevation. And the reason I make this a point, there could be a difference 10 feet just in height elevation on where you're placing your property. Because eventually you're going to be linking it to existing topography. Because you're limiting with 30 feet from the lowest adjacent grade. Maybe staff could correct me if I'm wrong. So, I mean, it's just like, isn't this the case?
So, Board Member Fakih, you are correct in stating that the maximum building height would be the parameter of 30 feet based on the correlation to the natural grade, and so that's going to dictate where they can build within that.
And since there is no information, and we are here, again, I hate to keep dragging this forever, but since we're here today on the 3rd time, and if I'm hearing the applicant correctly, what they're committing to, that the house finished floor elevation will be at the lowest elevation they have in the envelope. Is this correct statement? So your finished floor elevation, what I'm stating is that the lowest elevation is in the envelope. This is how you're setting up your finished floor elevation.
Well, no, because the way that's laid out, you have the driveway and the other stuff that's coming up down there. The house is to the backside going into the bow tie area on that. So if I move there, I start to block Fisher View, and that's where I need it for a driveway to come up and the yards to be positioned on that. So these are basically, when we look at the 2780, there's lower elevation on the south portion or the northwest portion of the building envelope if I move the house that way, but that takes away, then I'm looking into the back of the Clark's house, not out to the mountains.
And this is what I'm trying to determine. I don't know if we can go back maybe to the topo exhibit. You call it the bow tie, I think.
Yeah, there.
There you go.
Can we zoom in this bow tie, because it's really tough for me to see. This is one of the challenges. Maybe this will help.
Can we do a
Someone able
zoom?
to zoom?
Is that somehow?
We can zoom a little.
I don't think we can zoom technically.
No.
And Councilman Graham, Mr. Fakir, the other interesting thing about this is that we're being stipulated to exactly where this building envelope is, which is extremely rare. And that's something that we're amenable to, that staff proposed, that we worked on with Mr. Brand since the last meeting last month and worked considerably with him, met with him. And so the stipulation that this is the building envelope, we're okay with that. What's interesting here is that the Angelonis have to consider all the other houses surrounding them, and so they're putting it here to be respectful of the neighbors, but actually to also find a spot where they can build the house. So the stipulation is for the building envelope to be here, and so we're okay with that.
I'm not making my comment on behalf of the owner, with my respect to their situation, but I'm just curious about the question I bring up. It could be something good for you guys to know as well, just based on the existing conditions. So,
If I can read this close to where we're looking at this, now this is an approximation of the house, right? But if I'm looking at the corner down here, that's at 2675.
The corner.
The corner out where, just to the tip of the driveway out there to the left.
Okay.
Okay?
Where is it?
Yeah, it's out over here. Can I walk to that point real quick? Oh, I can use a mouse.
Here.
To here. To here is at 2675.
Where is the highest topography? Where's the crest of the hill?
That's out here at 2705.
no, it's what?
Oh, no, it's higher than that. I'm sorry. We don't have it in the building envelope.
Can the person who's controlling that zoom out just a touch, or maybe move to the right? That's zooming in. Little zoom out.
They have about 2,700 on the southeast, 2,701 here on the southeast corner, I guess.
There you go.
2734 is the highest.
And where is that highest crest point?
That's back down here.
Can you show us what the? Okay, down below.
It's way up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the green area.
It's in the green area, high in the green area.
Oh, the city of staff.
That's down.
Well, oh, just a moment. Attorney Calabrese wants to say something.
Yes, Councilman Graham and Board Member Faki. If something you're trying to control is where the building is for topography, if you let me know, I can offer you stipulation language to meet what you're trying to do.
Well, I'm just trying to understand like how this linked to the existing environment. So it's kind of like how much cut and fill is happening. So if you don't mind zooming out, and this is a challenge, you guys putting a nerd on the board. I think this is part of it. So can we zoom in on the right side if you don't mind?
Which side?
You were on this right side here. Yeah, you were here.
Right.
Zoom back into the green one, right there.
Yeah, just go
to the
down
corner.
To the house, yeah, to the corner.
So zoom up. Okay.
Thank you. So you're at 2705, and the other one is 26. Is it 2872 or 26?
2675, and then this one is at 2700.
Okay. So you have about 22 feet of cut on this corner here, and probably another you're talking about 10 feet of fill on the other side, right?
I mean, board member Faki, you can stipulate language if you desire.
Yeah, but I mean, what happened is on this building envelope right now, there will be a maximum of 20 feet of house based on your lowest adjustment grade. You're aware of that, right? So the maximum height you can get will be 20 feet based on the 2670 if you set up your finished floor elevation at 2680. So by you getting this approval on 2680 for finished floor elevation, you only can get 20 feet building height.
That's, Jeff, is that correct?
It seems low.
No, this is what it is, because you go 30 from existing grade. You go 30 feet from existing adjacent grade, so if his finished floor elevation 10 feet higher than the existing, he's only building 20 feet of height. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. So this will be approved, but your house height will be maximum 20 feet based on ESL code.
I don't.
Board Member Faki, if I could clarify, maybe in the scope of what is being requested, the house that's shown here, the massing exhibit for context, those are bits of information to help convey an idea, but this is a request for the building envelope itself. And the finished floor elevation could change in the final design of the house. The building envelope request, the modification doesn't directly correlate a defined lowest finished floor level. It's about the positioning.
But this whole thing happened because you guys get Mr. Brand blessing and 3 time here because you set up a finished floor elevation. And now you're telling me the finished floor elevation is not going to be the one we're approving today. This doesn't make any sense to me.
2680?
Councilman Graham, Mr. Fakir, this is for a building envelope modification, but this is just a conceptual representation of where the house could be or would be. But I think sometimes I think we get stuck in the weeds here, but the applicant is just merely asking for a building envelope modification, but is also trying to show that they're trying to work as hard as they can to be considerate of the neighbors, but also to work with staff. And staff did have a stipulation, and Jeff, if you don't mind, if you could just outline what that stipulation is, that I think helps guides the members of how to help them and deliberate on this decision.
And I believe the stipulation you're referring to is conformance to this building envelope configuration as being the revised from the original exhibit.
Right, but also conforming with all applicable statutes as well.
Of the previous zoning case, yes.
Okay, so we're approving today the house as presented here, part of the envelope, because this, what your applicant mentioned, or the owner mentioned, you guys rotated so you can open it up for view and you work with Mr. Brand or whatnot. So if we're approving this layout today, I just want to be clear on the approval stipulation, we're approving the layout of the house we show here on the screen.
Layout of the building envelope.
The building envelope, not the actual floor plan of the house.
Okay, so this could rotate again and you go back to square zero, you can rotate it again and, right?
Councilman Graham and Board Member Fakir, so you can, if you're trying to, whatever you're trying to achieve, create a stipulation to that effect.
Okay. I think we'll have to add this to it unless the applicant has a problem. But I think, if the whole discussion been happening for the last 3 meetings about how the house will be located and the location of it and finished floor elevation, it makes sense to me because obviously you address other board member concern. And again, I don't have problem with the envelope, but based on the 3 meetings, the whole discussion been on orientation, location, and finished floor elevation. So you guys come in and present this. So I would think if we just pace forward, we should be stipulating on what you present today, right? It will be based on the orientation and the finished floor elevation you present today.
Councilman Graham, Mr. Fakir, with all due respect, I think that's outside the scope of what you're being asked to vote on. You're being asked to vote on modifying an envelope. Mr. Angeloni has brought his architect twice to the 2 previous hearings who has tried to answer some of the good questions here, and sometimes they're impossible to answer because the architect has stated that if the building envelope does get modified, then he's able to work with staff to comply with all of the issues that are of concern.
With all my respect, I disagree with you. We're approving something that fit in the environment, and again, I tell you, I'm approving the envelope. I don't have a problem with it, and I can tell you the drainage will work. With my respect to the drainage staff, this could be rerouted. There is actually a cost to it, and I agree with staff here. There could be a reroute for staff for drainage. So I'm not pushing you back to say, oh, the drainage will work. I don't want to get there. But I'm saying I'm okay with the envelope, but it has to be linked on how this building fit. What you agree is how all the board member came on board to it, I guess. So.
No, I think he's making some interesting points, Board Member Fakir. Mr. Galvin made a comment that this was outside the scope of this committee, and so I'll ask the attorney, Calabresi, do you agree that what we're discussing is outside the scope, or is this within scope of this board?
Councilmember Graham, I'm going to go with yes and no, and let me explain that.
No.
Yes, I know.
Every attorney.
I know, right? I know you're going to, it depends.
Right.
Yes, it's outside the scope in the sense of it's not the correct venue to site to this exact floor plan. However, what you can do, and I have a stipulation written for you if you would like, where it would restrict the building envelope wherever they do end up wanting to put the house so that it only goes up so high. Would you like that stipulation?
Does that include orientation?
No, but since orientation, actually, they would be restricted on their orientation based on the stipulation, based upon the topography itself.
So what you're saying is stipulate something where we limit the cut and the fill?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm trying to say. I have something written for you.
Was that satisfactory, Board Member Faki?
I think we could work with that as far as limiting, how much we're cutting into the mountain.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see what the applicant think as well, but
Councilman Graham, Mr. Faki, we're willing, if you want to have a stipulation, to say that the finished floor elevation would be at 2680 and the roof line would be at 2717. I think that gets to the heart of the matter of your questions, and we're willing to have that stipulation.
I don't know how we will get roof line in 2717. There is no way, based on existing condition. This is what's so confusing to me. You cannot get, if you're 30 feet, based on what you show here, your finished floor elevation, you're going to only be allowed to be at 2810. You'll be 20 feet from the lowest grade. I don't know how you're getting 37 feet from your finished floor elevation. I don't get it.
The house is progressing up the hill.
So you're going to be stepping all the finished floor elevation per the elevation. So you start 20, then 25, then to the top. Okay. If you, and again, I haven't seen it. I'm assuming staff did see, the elevation stepping up or not. I haven't seen that. I saw it all as one flat.
Board Member Faki, we have not, just because the house hasn't been designed yet, but I will say that we would probably have concern with stipping the roof elevation just because that ends up being an end product of conformance. The stips already say conform to the development standards of the zoning case. But if you did, with Ms. Calabresi's suggestion, want to focus on a range of building or finished floor elevation or something like that, at least that would set.
Fair enough. So I'm fine with 2680 finished floor elevation. I don't care about the height elevation because you're going to be complying with ESL, and I agree with staff. I mean, I don't know. I don't even imagine how this will be step up. So keeping in mind what's going to be the restriction on the height from ESL, lowest adjacent grade.
Councilman Graham, Mr. Faki, we think that's eminently reasonable. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm very sympathetic to what we see today should be as close to what the final thing, actually, what the final product. And that's not just for us to make the best decision, it's also for the neighbors to, for the neighbors in the area and the other stakeholders to have some level of predictability. Mr. Carr, do you want to say anything? Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I'd like to just thank you, Ali, for bringing this up, because I think this is well within our purview on the board. When you look at an envelope for building, I think we have to look at it horizontally and vertically, and I appreciate you really focusing on the vertical side of it. So, I mean, just to place a horizontal understanding of the envelope, I think is insufficient, so I really appreciate this. Thank you.
So, okay, so there's some questions from the audience, but this is kind of out of order. But I think the question is, there's a chart with the ranges of the elevation. And so I think that the attorney, Ms. Calabresi, is going to draft a language to encompass that elevation to accommodate for the, filling and digging or cutting.
Councilmember Graham, yes, I just do have a few questions for Board Member Faki. The 2680 you reference, is that the highest point of the topography in which you want any of the eventual build of the house to begin, so that the maximum, if you add 30 feet to that, would be obviously 2710, correct?
No, because the ESL height doesn't go from finished floor elevation, it go from existing grades. So this is why I don't want to mention the height. I will go with just finished floor elevation. So we'll stipulate based on this finished floor elevation, 2680, and staff will determine what the height should be. Because the height is not 30 feet from finished floor elevation, it's from adjacent grade. So if your adjacent grade is 10 feet below finished floor elevation, now your height get to be 20.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just want to clarify a little bit.
Yeah, Mr. Carr.
Thank you.
Mr. Carr.
Because the finished floor, because building height can change with grade, so can finished floor as a result. So I'm asking, I guess, are you wanting to have the maximum finished floor be at 2680
Correct. Based on what they presented here, 2680 finished floor elevation.
as a maximum?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
And just for just for the laity of us, is that for like the highest point where it starts with elevation?
It would be Mr. Chairman, it would be the point where the floor of the house could go no higher than.
Right, exactly. When I said starts at the floor, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
No, I think this has been very, I think it was very perspicacious of you, Board Member Faki, to bring this up.
What does this mean, by the way? This is a tough word for me.
I'm just talking about your perspicacity.
Oh, I got you. Okay, fair enough.
It just means insightful. It's a $10 word, and I tend to agree with Commissioner Scarborough that the DRB should look at it vertically. We care about horizontality and verticality. I think that to me that just feels like that's in our purview. So, Ms. Calabresi, are you satisfied with the direction from Board Member Faki?
Yes, that would be an appropriate stipulation.
Mr. Angeloni and Mr. Galvin, based on this discussion, can you live with, or do you find these?
The 2680 is a finished floor on the initial, yes.
Okay. I don't want to haul you back in here.
I don't want to come back in here.
You don't want to see us again. And by the time you come back, there's going to be a whole new roster.
Hey, I will tell you, I appreciate your sense of humor. It lightens it up a little bit.
Well, thank you. I think I'm hilarious. The next people, they may be more likable, but you may not like them. You don't know who you're getting, right? So, Mr. Faki.
I do have, okay, so I wasn't working with the architect to get hard numbers on this. Can we have like a 3 or 4 foot variance at all on that? I mean, because we were trying to put stuff to our best guesstimate together here. I mean. Okay.
Your microphone.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. I could go in to make his a recommendation, Councilman, if you're fine with it.
I haven't had a chance to ask Board Member Peaser if he has any questions. He's saying no. He's had enough. It's kind of out of order for me to bring back Mr. Fisher and his other neighbors, but I hope that this has gotten a little closer to, yeah. Right. That is exactly what, so, yeah. Okay. We're getting a little bit of feel when I'm getting just, dialogue going with members of the council because nobody on who's streaming can hear us, but what we're talking about is the neighbors that spoke earlier, they had misgivings, trepidation about exactly that, building height and,
I'm okay.
or I should say elevation.
I got a couple feet variance.
Yeah, and now there's going to be a stipulation that adds clarity to that, and I think it maybe smooths feathers and brings people a little bit more harmony to the area because we have a little bit more predictability. And so I will, because Mr. Faki has led this effort, I will invite him to make the motion that was probably drafted by, probably feverishly drafted by Attorney Calabresi. Do you need more time with that, City Attorney?
Councilman Graham, yes, 2 minutes.
Councilman Graham, may I ask a question?
Sure.
So if it comes out to 2682, 2684, is there a way we can make sure that Mr. Angeloni is not getting cited by the city? Just for that variation there, kind of a little leeway?
Yeah, she's going to give him a few feet threshold. So I'll spend a couple of minutes up here just monologuing. I learned a few jokes recently. I'm just kidding. This is,
Based off of this existing building envelope.
I think what we'll do here is, oh, you know what? I forgot, I had some questions. I was too busy trying to invoke my colleagues to participate, or they were ready to go, but to ask them. And I have a few questions here with you. This is probably for city staff. Is there an animal crossing area in this section that is that going to be deleterious to the animals?
Councilman Graham, although the neighbors have reported in public comment for these meetings that there are wildlife in the area and they exist out there, I don't know that we've got any official designation to point to say that this is an animal corridor.
Do you see anything that concerns you that animals can't find another route?
There will, as an end result of this, as is part of the stipulations here, there's going to be natural area open space provided on the site that will be contiguous in various areas with
Okay.
other open space corridors and continue to allow preserved space on the site.
Can we go back to the bow tie photo? Can somebody just kind of show me where like the house originally, the original envelope was and where we moved it?
The blue line.
Oh, I see. That's what that blue line represents. So it was originally supposed to be right on the road, right?
And this is where the two culverts are, the 100-year flood goes through, and this is where all the water washes down. So
Yeah.
that's the ponding area.
That 100-year flood happens every few years. I thought that Commissioner Scarborough asked some good questions about the ponding because that was the whole predication. That was the whole assumption for justification for moving it, you know.
To Mr. Fisher's defense, he moved into the house, and the previous owner put culverts in there without being permitted by the city.
When you say in there, where's there?
In his driveway down here. So there's a couple low culverts down in here because of the water buildup to go, because the main river, when the flood stuff, is right on the other side of Mr. Fisher's property.
So the original envelope, you were just supposed to have all that extra excess space, you know, all the way. And you're saying that, okay. Something else that was commented, I think it was Mr. Galvin that commented, maybe Mr. Carr, you can answer this. Mr. Galvin, that 12 of the surrounding houses are built outside of their building envelopes. Can staff confirm that?
Councilman Graham, that is visually apparent out there. We don't have records of applications like this to go along with those, but there are visually apparent deviations throughout.
Yeah. And is the trend that they moved it from a lower envelope to outside their envelope to a higher elevation? Is that kind of the trend you saw?
What we had seen in looking through this is a lot of them moved, I'm going to call it nominally, some more than that, but without having the details to dive into for the history on that, it's hard to say what the motivation.
So this one, the house is completely outside of the original envelope. Are these 12? Are they partially outside, or are any of them fully outside, like this one would be?
Both.
It's sort of a mix.
Mix, okay. This question I'm going to ask is probably outside our purview, so don't tell the city attorney. But I mean, doesn't this helps the value of the house when you move the envelope to a higher elevation, right? Yeah. Never mind. I didn't think you'd answer that. Called your bluff. What's that? I think those were kind of the questions that I had put together. I'll check back in with Ms. Calabresi to see if maybe she's had a satisfactory amount of time.
I think I have something, Councilman Graham, Board Member Faki. So the way that I have to draft this is I have to draft the restriction on the building envelope itself and not the height or not the floor, the final floor elevation. So this is what I drafted, and please tell me if it achieves what the 2680. That any area of the building envelope cannot be improved as is or by cut and fill, so that any improvement has a final floor elevation that exceeds 2,680 feet.
Plus or minus threshold.
Well, do you have it that?
Plus or minus 2 feet.
Well, I mean, if we go up, can you zoom up on this for me, please? Because we're still talking about yard we have to put in there and all that, that's going to be at a lower, so it can't exceed, I mean,
So
we're going to have fill on some of the yard in the front.
So So the condition, the restriction would be that the current building envelope is approved, except that within that envelope, it would remain unbuildable for improvements if those improvements would render a final floor elevation higher than 2,680 feet plus or minus 2 feet.
I'd say plus or minus a yard. Are you okay with that?
But if I'm doing a second story, that still comes with the contour of the land, right?
From grade.
From grade. Yeah. Yeah, the height of the building does.
Sorry, I didn't hear. I think, we're saying the same thing, but I think the attorney put it in a lot beautiful, nicer way, but we're restricting it to finished floor elevation, right? So kind of like, you could go a little bit lower if you want, but I mean, we just kind of like for the finished floor elevation, it will have to be within 2682.
Do you care about putting a ceiling on it?
Huh?
You put
Yeah,
it,
this is it. He could go lower if you want in some areas. I don't have a problem with that. As long as you meet the cut and fill requirement by the city. The challenge is to make sure we're not filling in a lot in situation, and obviously, at one point of time, you will not be able to fill much, and you're going to realize this really quick when you start working with your architect on your elevation. As long as we have one finished floor elevation, maximum 2682, and then you should be good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Graham, Board Member Fricke, we could just adjust the language to say lowest final floor elevation.
The highest, lowest final floor elevation.
The highest, lowest final floor elevation is not to exceed 2,680 feet plus or minus 2 feet.
Correct. Yeah, not to exceed 2682.
are you, are,
Can I have 3 feet?
5?
Yeah. I mean,
plus or minus 3 feet?
okay, that's fine.
Okay. Do you mind making the motion? Did you make the motion? Is that motion clear, or does he have to restate it?
No, the city of Scottsdale labeled the finished floor elevation at the lowest finished floor elevation, but we're restricting the finished floor elevation, the highest will be 2683. Finished floor elevation.
Right.
But if I do my first floor at 2680, I can't do a second floor above that?
It depends on the code, again, depend on what you meet for ESL.
Well, but, okay, so I mean,
But you will be working with staff on whatever ESL allowed, but the maximum finished floor elevation.
of my first floor.
Of your first floor?
Correct, will be 2683.
Yeah. The finish,
Go from adjusting grade
Yes.
again.
Right.
Yeah.
yes,
Of my first floor, so I can do multiple floors.
if the code allows it.
Yeah, if the code allowed.
Yeah, if the code allows it.
Yeah.
So of my first finished floor,
Right.
the maximum height has to be 2680.
Ground level.
Does the,
I
I'm
think
sorry.
a point of clarification here, the finished floor we're talking about, the finished floor elevation is the finished floor on the first floor.
Right.
If you build a second story, your finished floor is your finished floor.
Right.
Now you have a max building height from your finished floor to your roof height.
Right.
To the pitch of your roof. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
So just be clear on that.
Yeah, but I can still do a second story, and that doesn't have to be 2680, so I can go up.
Because your finished floor is the
Yes.
2680.
Okay.
Maximum. Yep.
And if not, just come on back.
With a variation of 3 feet, I just want to clarify with a variation of 3 feet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
1 football yard.
I think it's restated just to be 2683, right?
Yes.
So there's no
Maximum.
variation, that's your max, 2683. You already have the 3 feet.
Okay.
I can go down as much as I want, huh?
Yeah. Ms. Calabresi, do you need Mr. Board Member Faki to restate that, to utter that motion?
Councilman Graham, in order to make the stipulation?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it the way you said it, though, but.
Yeah, good luck. Okay, let's start, baby.
I will move to approve case number 12-PP-1995-2, Desert Summit Lot 34 building envelope, with adding a stipulation that maximum finished floor elevation will be 1 finished floor elevation at 2683 max.
Thanks, Mr. Fisher. Thanks for coming.
Second.
Councilman Graham, Board Member Fricke, sorry for the small nuance here. It's a legal nuance. Blame the lawyer. we can't control the final floor elevation, but we control the building envelope in which the building is built. Does that make sense? So we just have to word it a little bit differently.
Just tell them how to word it.
Okay. Any area of the building envelope cannot be improved as is or by cut and fill, so that any improvement has a highest, lowest final floor elevation that exceeds 2,683 feet.
Okay, I'm going to try. Do you want me to add it as stipulation, or can I just agree with you?
Just say what I said.
Okay, sounds good.
Well,
With this,
I'm sorry, Mr. Board Member Faki, you could just say, I make a motion to approve per the stipulation just read by the attorney.
fair enough, thank you. I will move to approve case 12 PP-1995-2, Desert Summit Lot 34, building envelope per the stipulation, as per stipulation just listed by our attorney. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
Second.
Board Member Pieser seconds. I will call roll.
Councilman Graham,
Yes.
Commissioner Scarborough,
Yes.
Board Member Pieser,
Yes.
Board Member Faki.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Clark. Thank you, the applicant. Thank you for the neighbors and stakeholders and city staff for presenting. And with that, I will suspend the rules and I will ask for a voice vote to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.